Chapter 3, Disaster. Come on, Jack, Annie called. She was almost to the river. Just a minute, he shouted. He wanted to study the giraffes and zebras. He pulled out the Africa book and found the picture of giraffes. He read, "The giraffe is the tallest animal in the world. Its legs alone can be 6 feet tall, and its hooves can be as big as dinner plates. The giraffe has a very powerful kick, which makes it dangerous to attack. For this reason, lions tend to avoid giraffes." Jack pulled out his notebook and wrote, "Notes on Africa. Lions avoid giraffes." He turned the page and read more. "Zebras live in family groups. As no two zebras have exactly the same pattern of stripes, every baby zebra must learn its own mother's pattern." Jack studied the zebras, trying to see their different patterns. But in the hazy afternoon light, all the stripes made him dizzy. He blinked to clear his head and then read more. "Zebras are the first to cross the river because they eat the coarsest grass. After they've thinned down the top layer, the wildebeests arrive and eat the next layer. They prepare the grass for the gazelles, who come last." "Wow," thought Jack. "Each animal depends on the one that goes before." He wrote, "Animals all connected." Jack heard Annie jumping and shouting from the riverbank, "Jump, beasts, jump! You can do it! Don't be afraid! Come on!" He looked up. Annie herself was jumping as she called to the wildebeests. Jack sighed. "I better stop her before there's trouble," he thought. He put away the Africa book and his notebook, and then he jogged towards the river. His pack was heavy and lumpy, bumping against his back. He'd forgotten to take out the jar of peanut butter and the loaf of bread. Jack decided to leave them at the treehouse. He turned to go back, but just then Annie's shouting stopped. Jack looked at the river. She had vanished. "Annie?" he called. No answer. Where was she? "Annie!" Jack shouted. She had completely disappeared. "Oh, man," said Jack. The trip had barely begun, and already disaster had struck. He forgot about the stuff in his pack. He just ran as fast as he could. He wove his way between the grazing zebras and giraffes as he raced to the river. "Help!" called Annie. Chapter 4, Mud Bath. Jack looked over the edge of the riverbank. Annie had fallen into a pool of mud near the water. The thick black mud was up to her chest. "I slipped," she said. "It feels like quicksand." Jack threw down his pack and got on his knees. "Be careful," said Annie. "Don't slip too." Jack pointed to a tangle of old tree roots sticking out of the bank. "Grab those," he said. Annie reached for the roots. "Too far," she said, breathing hard. "I'm sinking." She was sinking. The mud was up to her neck. "Hold on." Jack looked around wildly. He saw a fallen branch near the bank. He raced to it, picked it up, and carried it back to Annie. Only her head and arms now stuck out of the mud. Jack held on to the branch, and Annie grabbed it. "Hold tight," said Jack. "I'll drag you over to the roots." He started pulling on the branch. "I'm still sinking," Annie wailed. The mud was up to her chin. "Come on," said Jack. "You can do it. You can. I know it. Try." And just then, Jack heard a splash. He looked up. On the other side of the river, a wildebeest had jumped into the water. Another and another. They were all headed right towards Jack and Annie. "Hold tight," said Jack. He pulled on the stick again. Annie moved a little bit. "Hey, Jack, on the moon it felt like I weighed 10 pounds, said Annie. "And in this mud, it feels like I weigh a ton." "Concentrate, Annie," said Jack, trying not to slip down the bank. "I am." The lead wildebeests were halfway across, swimming towards them. Many more wildebeests were jumping into the water. "It's now or never," said Jack. He took a deep breath. He pulled really hard. And just then, a shadow passed over them. Jack looked up. "Uh-oh," he said. A huge vulture circled overhead. "It thinks you're near the end," said Jack. "Oh, get out of here," Annie shouted at the vulture. "I'm fine." And with a burst of fury, she let go of the branch. She lunged for the roots, and she grabbed them. "Yes," said Jack. "Pull, pull." And slowly Annie pulled herself out. She was covered with black mud from head to toe. Jack helped her onto the bank, getting mud all over himself. See? Annie shook her fist at the vulture. I'm fine. Now beat it. But the ugly giant bird still circled. Come on, let's get away from him, said Jack, and he pushed his glasses into place. Rats, he said. Now his glasses were muddy. He tried to clean his hands on the grass. Oh no, shouted Annie. Jack turned to her. The wildebeests will get stuck in the mud hole, she cried, and she waved her arms at the wildebeests struggling to swim across the river. Not here, she shouted. Not here. But the frantic swimmers kept coming.